Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Monday Morning Mama Show. I'm going to take just a minute and share this into the Moms Online Mastermind community so that it's there for our Diamond members as well. I have amazing guests this morning and a really good topic as well. So really excited to jump into our topic this morning. So I want to quickly say hello to everybody who joins us, whether you're on live or on the replay today. And really make sure that you share with moms who need inspiration on a Monday morning, or and give us some hearts and likes and comments, and we'll be happy to come back and interact with you after as well if we don't see you during the live broadcast today. So how many of you moms out there need some inspiration on a Monday morning? Okay, let's be honest. How many moms need inspiration every morning? This morning, I want to know how many of you moms have ever had something happen in your life where you've had to start over or felt like you've had to have a new beginning of some kind. If any of that is you, then this show is for you this morning. Welcome again to Monday Morning Mama, where we bring you fresh and fun inspiration every Monday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time. This morning, we are on episode 19 of the Monday Morning Mama Show, and I have two amazing special guests with me today for our topic of new beginnings. My guests and I have all had to either start over or experience a new beginning as adults, and we're all super excited to share our experiences with you, as well as some tips and tricks that may help you during your times of new beginning. So I am your hostess, Jessica Dugas. I am a mentor of moms in the Moms Online Mastermind community, helping you to balance stress and overwhelm in your life so that you can discover a balance that works for you in a supportive community that loves you through that process. And joining me today are two women who have quickly become two of my favorite people on the planet. I consider them both to be so many things, from colleagues to mentors to clients to friends, and I am honored to be joined by them both today. So first up, we have my good friend to the east of me in North Carolina, Miss Lori Ann Davis, who is a relationship expert with more than 20 years experience. And then my friend from the north, joining us from Ontario, Canada, we have Shoshana Chaim, who is my family and your family's plant-based health and wellness coach. If I could just talk this morning. Welcome to both of you, and thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thanks, Jess, for having us.
Thanks, Jessica.
All right, so there's so much that we could end up talking about on today's show, and I know that this episode is going to go by faster than any I've done before. So I want to start by kind of getting everyone's attention today. I want to start first with you, Lori. What was one moment for you where you realized, oh crap, things are about to change?
It was a huge one for me. I had been married to the love of my life. We had an amazing relationship. We had been together for over 25 years. We had our two second children. I had them in my mid-40s, so a little bit later. And I remember actually the moment driving down the street and it just stopping at a stop sign. I know exactly where it was in Charlotte. And the thought came to me, we're not going to be married for very much longer. Mm-hmm. And I remember stopping thinking that is the craziest thought ever. I had never had that thought in my entire life. And, a couple of years later, I realized why I had that thought. I kind of knew what was coming. Things started changing in our relationships. Things started changing with him. He kind of went down this rabbit hole and he had some difficulties in his life. And by the end of 3 more years later, it took me that long. We were no longer a couple. Never in my wildest dreams thought that would happen. Never wanted it to happen. Never, it was the most difficult time in my entire life, for sure. It was traumatic, but so traumatic that I remember the moment that the idea first came to me. Like it was, and now this was 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago.
Mm.
And I still remember that exact moment that the thought came into my mind for the first time in 25 years, 26 years.
I imagine that, I mean, it's hard enough for anybody to go through a split up like that, but after 25 years, I mean, that's a long time to suddenly have this switch of well, everything's, ending or changing, especially after happiness. I mean, it must have just been, I can imagine how you would remember that exact moment. Shoshana, what about you? What was a moment for you where you were like, okay, everything's different now?
Well, for me and for anybody who's heard my backstory before, it's kind of easy because my husband had a pain in his chest. He went to the doctor one day, and by accident, very weird part of the story, by accident, the nurse called the house and basically told me that my husband had a tumor and needed to see a doctor. And at that very moment, it wasn't intuition at all. It was very factual that that things were definitely going to change. But fast forward to where I had a choice to change, where choice was involved. My husband had done a lot of research and had decided to become plant-based, to eat a vegan diet. And because that was what was going to save him and save us as a family from never having to go through what he went through again. And I knew things were going to change because he changed his diet, but it was more gradual for me of how I was going to change my diet and my lifestyle. And it kind of happened it was more of an 8-month period where that took place. But regardless, sometimes our signs are internal and sometimes our signs are external.
Yes, absolutely. And that's I know a lot of moms have experienced that as well, who have had health concerns come up, and that's a big life changer for them. I know that, it doesn't make it any easier for us moms who are natural caregivers of everybody, and we want to fix everybody and everything. And it's not any easier if the health thing is not us, if it's our spouse or a child. You really take all of that on yourself. So it must have been a huge moment for you, even though it was your husband that was going through that, to observe him going through that situation. For me, I agree a lot with Shoshana that it was a period of time where things started, shifting for me, and kind of this realization happened. But me also as well, I can remember a moment where I was sitting with my oldest 3 children in a domestic violence shelter. I had left my husband of 8 years, and it was the day that I lost my job. And it was like the perfect storm of events, of anything that could possibly happen. And I thought, and I couldn't sleep that night. And I just laid there in this little bunk in a room, and I thought, something's got to give here. Something has to change. And that was my moment. And then I feel like it really took a long period of time for me. I mean, little things were happening over time, but for me to really get it and get that my life completely needed to change was several more little events that would happen throughout time. So I feel like there was a good, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years where I was trying to get it all together and figure out who I was again, and to make this new beginning for myself, kind of being hit over the head several times until it knocked some sense into me. So I want to ask each of you that as well. How long was it, Lori, between when you had that realization and when you were like, okay, time to pick up the pieces and make this new beginning for myself?
Yeah, probably it was over 2 years. I mean, I remember when I first had the thought, I was convinced that he had some terminal illness, and that's why we weren't going to be together, because I would never leave him. I mean, he was the love of my life. And so and then there was a pattern. I was trying to ignore some of the changes that were happening in him and thought it's just a stage. We'll get over this. We had been through some difficult things, each having to deal with stuff, but we'd always stayed stronger as a couple. And this time that wasn't the case.
Mhm.
I was losing him, and I could tell I was losing him, and nothing I could do was getting him back. And so once I sort of really realized how bad it was, I started kicking into gear to try to do things to take care of the family. But I still thought, oh, I'll do this stuff. I'll take care of us, give him a breather, and he's gonna come back around. And I made some choices that, looking back, I'm like, oh, why did I even do that? But it was that faith, that hope. And then I remember it was about 2.5 years maybe into it that I woke up one day and went, this, nothing's changing. This isn't going to change. And if the kids and I had 3 children to take care of, if we're going to be okay, I am going to have to venture out on my own. And I mean, this was my late 40s. We'd been together since I was 22 years old. And it wasn't that I didn't have a job, it wasn't that I hadn't worked. I had skills, but I had been using them on a volunteer basis for quite a while. We were in a new state. I didn't have connections here. And so, about 2.5 years, I woke up and went, holy crap, right?
Mhm.
I'm going to have to venture on by myself. We're going to have to go our separate ways. And I actually looked online, figured out how to do it, filed divorce papers, because the way we were living wasn't healthy for any of us. And I was turning into somebody I didn't recognize, trying to keep things together. I was getting angry. I was scared. I was not acting I didn't recognize me. And I didn't want my children to keep seeing that me. It wasn't a me I was proud of, honestly. You hate to admit it, but when we are at the bottom, sometimes we don't always act our best. And so I thought, I can't keep doing this. I have to pick myself up. I have to make the hard decisions. And I don't know how I'm going to do it, but somehow I'm going to do it. And I went down to the courthouse and filed papers.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I can't. I feel very much like we all are on that, from that same place of where, we got it. And it took a little while for us. I mean, I really feel like all of us did everything that we could do, everything we knew how to do in that moment to get through that and then to make those next steps forward. Shoshana, you mentioned about an 8-month period. Was it 8 months from when your husband had the diagnosis to when you went plant-based, or was it like a longer transition for you, or how did that look for you?
So my husband's very black and white. So basically, within time after the transition, after the diagnosis, and he realized what he needed to do, he basically woke up the next day and he was like, shush, I'm done. No chicken, no eggs, no fish, no dairy, no nothing. And I was like, okay.
It's so simple for some people.
I'm like, okay, weirdo. I'm like, he hadn't been eating dairy for a while. So, that whole cheese thing was a lot easier for him, but he's very black and white. He turns it on and off. For me, it was like, I had read some of the research that he was talking about. I had heard about it. We watched Forks Over Knives, which is basically like the What the Health from 10 years ago. I watched it all and, slowly gave up red meat, then slowly gave up chicken, then not so slowly gave up eggs and dairy. So for me, it took time, but I think, one day, and I was literally down to having a piece of challah, which is like an egg bread, a piece of challah, and a piece of pizza every Friday, because that's what they served at the school that I worked at, and I liked it and I wanted it. And the rest of the week was, very more or less vegan, sometimes an egg sandwich here and there. So I was very, very, very vegetarian for a long time. But I think what it realized was, for one day for me, it was just like, okay, why am I doing this? Why is this happening? Why is this important to me? Because I'm sitting here in limbo trying to get to a point that I want to get to, but do I actually want to get there? And then I'm like, look, I saw that it reversed Adam's heart disease. I saw that it shrunk his tumor. I saw so many other stories, watch What the Health and give me a phone call, and tell me what resonated for you. I saw so many other stories from so many other people. And I'm like, okay, do I want this to happen to me? Am I willing to take the risk? I drive with driver's insurance. I drive with my seatbelt on. I follow more or less the speed limit. So why am I eating these foods that I know have done bad to my family already? And I figured it out. It was for me, it was for my kids, it was for my spouse, it was to set an example. I'm a teacher by nature and by profession, and it clicked and I was done.
Right. Yeah. And I think really, to me, that's what we've all done is what it looks like in all very different circumstances, all very different situations. This is what being the best mom that you can be looks like. It's taking what you know to be the best for you, and, you know, making those steps forward. Like Shoshana, you were doing the research. Lori, you figured out how to walk out and do the papers yourself and everything, and you went and did that. And somehow I started putting back together the pieces for myself. But for me also, as I mentioned, there were many years where like I got it that things had to change, but I wasn't really sure what to do. I wasn't really sure, you know, which direction to go. And I felt very similar to Lori, that I could feel myself changing. I wasn't who I wanted to be. And, you know, then other circumstances later, the death of my brother and my grandfather the same week, and then the death of my grandmother, a lot of wake up calls in there to make changes in several areas of my life. And then it's interesting. Do you feel like there was a moment, Lori, when you were like, okay, I'm on 2 feet again, like I'm feeling good about this now?
Yeah, I think it was when the girls and I first moved into our first rental. I took the house that I was living in and sold it in 4 days. And I had 10 days to be packed and out, had nowhere to go. And so we found a place, we got in, and I remember, I don't know exactly how long it was, but it wasn't that long after we had been in that house. And I would get the girls to bed, all 3 of my girls to bed, and I would just sort of go take a relaxing bath. And then I would sit in my bedroom and go, I'm doing this. And, by that point, I had met my current husband. We were just starting to date. And, so I felt like, I can do this. I still didn't know how I was going to support us at that point. I allowed myself because I also homeschool my girls. So I allowed myself to take, that first, not a whole year, and just homeschool the kids, get used to a routine, and, start meeting some people. And before I tried to start, a business out of my home at the same time. So right. And make peace with my, my first husband, because we're really good friends now. We co-parent the children beautifully together. So many things. I was thinking the other day about it'll be pretty soon 6 years since I met my current husband. And if I think about where I was 6 years ago and where I am now, it's an amazing journey. And I look at it and go, oh my gosh, right? Like Radical Dating, this TV show is coming out that I was part of. Tomorrow it airs. And I'm like, if I look at all the things I've accomplished, all the things I've done, where I am now compared to where I was when I was in that house deciding that we needed to walk away, I needed to walk away. It's like, if I had just known, right, where I would be 6 years later, because 6 years isn't that much time, I think it would have been an easier transition for me.
Do you both think that, Shoshana, we'll start with you. Do you think that you are a better mom, a better wife because of this sort of change and this new beginning that you kind of were forced to take?
I think that what I've taught myself is that if I want to do something, that I can do it. So a few months before Adam decided to go vegan, we found out that my son had an allergy to gluten and wheat. And Adam had thought that he was intolerant for a really long time. And I had spent the first we were married for 5 years before we had kids. So I had spent the first 10 years of our relationship pretending I couldn't cook so that Adam would do it. So I was a new mom. I was working full time. I was learning how to balance and cook because I decided that maybe I should be doing this for my kids a little bit. And then boom, all of a sudden we're gluten free So in comes all those changes, and it's like, well, what's a spatula? And what do you mean I can't use flour anymore? I'm exaggerating a little bit. But then, finally got the hang of that. And then a few months later, I'm like, what is vegan? Like, no what? And no animal products, nothing that poops what they make. Like, I'm like, what is that? So like, like I finally got like a good chicken recipe down and can make burgers. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's not happening. So I think it's taught me that I can overcome and I can do, and I could learn, and I could provide for my children, and I could set a good example. And, we know smoking is bad for us, and some of us smoke and want to change and don't. And I know that if there's something that I want to do, I can do it. And everybody can. It's just a matter of having those skills. And I know that I have those skills for change. And that's why helping other people change comes very naturally to me, because I've done it myself.
Yeah, and I want to point out too that the situations that each one of us have gone through, that's what we teach now. And there's really something to be said for being in the thick of things yourself, and not just teaching what somebody else taught you from a book, but teaching from experience, teaching from, there was a moment when I was like, give up eggs? No. And there was a moment when I was, I had those moments when I would sit and cry literally every single day because I was so stressed out and I did not know how to handle myself. And I'm sure there were moments when, Lori was like, well, I'm never going to find anybody again. And now she's telling people, yes, you can find people again, and so Lori, what about you? Do you feel like you are a better wife, a better mom because of the things that you went through?
I'm a different wife and a different mom. So I think that if you ask my ex-husband, he would agree. I was a wonderful mom and I was a wonderful wife, for those 25 years. I was a different mom and wife. I had a part-time private practice once I started having children, but most of what I did on a volunteer basis. And so I spent lots and lots of hours. I probably always worked at least a part-time job volunteering. But it was all about, my husband and my daughter. And then I had 2 more children. And my plan was I was just going to be a mom and a wife for a while. And I wasn't going to use my skills at all. And I always say the universe had a different idea for me. And so now I'm a different wife and I'm a different mom, and I'm balancing, right? A part-time job where I work with single moms at a nonprofit. And then, my coaching business is working with singles. Yes, helping them to get over whatever they need to get over, helping them to find love when they haven't been able to. Because I did go through that. I thought I was going to be just a general counselor practitioner again. And the singles started coming to me. And that's how that happened. Like the universe went, hello, you're supposed to help these people that are going through what you went through, right? And then when I'm homeschooling my children and I balance my husband. So I'm a very different mom and wife. What I think is better is my whole outlook on life is that I am so much calmer. And when I look back to how absolutely afraid, I had this vision that the children and I were going to be living in our van under a bridge, right? I don't know why I was scared of that. We didn't even come close to anything like that. But so now if I get a little scared about things or get a little uneasy, I think, well, at least I'm not afraid of that anymore, probably never should have been, but I think I'm so much calmer. And I'm showing my children, honestly, that you can go through things that are difficult, that you can I never thought about money before. I didn't overspend, but now I'm teaching them. We have to make choices. If we want to go on this vacation in January, we're not going to do much for Christmas, because it's not in a bad way. It's a choice that we make. So I think I am raising them different. So I think I'm a different mom and I'm a different wife, and maybe some of it's better, but it's just different, and that's okay.
Yeah. And I agree with that too. I would say that for me, I am a better mom than what I was. I stayed in a very, very unhealthy relationship for 8 years, and looking back now, was showing them that accepting that kind of treatment was okay. And I didn't believe that I was worth anything. I didn't believe that I deserved better than that at that time. And I was, a mom that was yelling a lot. I was a mom that was not very engaged because I was so in my own world of being the victim and feeling sorry for myself a lot of the time. And now it's like, I don't have to focus on that negativity anymore. And I wake up every day with a choice to choose joy and happiness, no matter what else is going on. And that's something that I pass on to all the moms now, is that you wake up every single day with a choice, every single day, what you want to focus on. And, mom life isn't always cupcakes and roses. It's not. But, you have a choice whether, you want to see cupcakes and roses despite anything else that may be going on. And so I feel like I am a much better mother, the better wife. I agree with being different. I'm much more mindful of myself now, and both the same sentiment as both of you, that realizing that I can overcome things, and realizing that I have the ability to stay focused during a live video when my daughter's brushing my hair.
It's so beautiful how she's doing that.
It is.
So yeah, I think that I think I've changed as a person, and by it really shows, what I teach to moms, that when you focus on that self-care, when you focus on yourself, it really does affect the rest of the world. It affects your spouse, it affects your children, it affects everybody that you come in contact with when you take care of yourself and make changes for yourself. So I knew this was going to happen, that we were going to run out of time very quickly. So I want to quickly go around. Lori, I'll start with you. If you could give one tip to a person, to a mom who wakes up one day and goes, oh crap, everything's changing, what piece of advice or what little tip would you give them?
To get a support system. Don't try to do it by yourself. I had some, only a couple of friends that I shared all of this with when I was going through it, and pick people that are positive, that will support you, or a coach. I mean, if you can get somebody to guide you through the process. If you try to go it alone, it's going to be longer. It's going to be harder. There is lots of research that shows that no matter what transition you're trying to make, that having that support system or using a coach or somebody who really knows what they're doing helps you go through the process so much faster and with a lot less emotional discomfort. So get
great advice. Yeah, I wish I would have known about coaching years ago, but we do what we can. Shoshana, what about you? What would your one piece of advice be?
So I agree with Lori 100%. Get support, whether it's professional or social or what have you. My other piece of advice is, when you go through change, there is a lot to change and a lot that's going to take place, but don't try to do it all at once. So my suggestion is, make a list of everything that you think that you want to change right now, or that you think will need to change, and choose one thing. And when you accomplish that,
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
There you are.
I'm here. So celebrate it. So choose that one thing off the list, celebrate it. When you've got that down, move on to the next. Don't try to take it all on at once. It's just going to snowball into a lot of stress.
Absolutely. All right. So get help, have support, do one thing at a time, make a list. And my piece of advice is to do your very, very best to be in the moment, and don't go down a rabbit hole of what's going to happen in the next couple of minutes, the next day, the next year. Because what happened with me was that I really, I don't remember a whole lot from that time, because I was always so worried about everything I did and everything that was to come. And I didn't appreciate the fact that I was in that moment, and I still had my children, and I was still alive and still breathing. And so do your very, very best to take a breath and be in the moment and have a moment of gratitude for something, even though that can be hard to find when things just shake up for you. So that would be my one piece of advice for everybody. So I want to start to close things up here, but the good news is that if you're a Diamond member, I will be in the Moms Diamond community to have a little chat with you guys for an after show after this. So make sure that you tune in for that as well. And I want to give our guests today a moment to tell you where they can connect with them. So let's start with you, Lori. Please let our guests know where they can connect with you if they want to after the show.
Yeah, I mean, you can find me. My name is Lori Ann Davis, and you can see my picture, so you can find me on Facebook. I have a private group called Finding Success in Life and Love that I would love for you to join. I'll post it once this is finished and I get onto my computer. I'll post the link for you. Send me a personal message. So.
Okay, all right, awesome. Shoshana, where can our viewers find you?
Well, two of the best places to find me. Number one is in Healthy Plant-Based Families. It's an online Facebook community. Jessica's part of it, where it's basically families who are looking to become healthier. You don't have to be vegan. You don't have to be plant-based. You just have to understand that there's power in a vegetable, power in a fruit, power in exercise and lifestyle, and wanting to raise your children probably just a little bit healthier than you were raised yourself. So whatever it is that you're looking for, come on in, and I'm very active in the group. Number two is find me, Shoshana Chaim, Chaim as in mother, or mom. And if you send me a PM, I'd be happy to get on the phone with you for 10 minutes and talk about the change that you want and help you actually curate that list that I was talking about before. So I'd be very happy to do that. Complimentary to someone who's involved with somebody as wonderful as Jessica.
Oh, thank you. No, I mean, and you both have been, Lori's been in the moms group several times, giving relationship tips and definitely given me a lot of new ways to communicate with my husband. We don't always, us men and women, we don't always communicate in the same way. And so Lori's always giving me great tips about that. And Shoshana's changed our household. We've been completely plant-based since the end of March. And I never expected us to be here. I was just talking to somebody about that last night, but we've all been healthier for it. So I'm just, like I said in the beginning, I'm so grateful to both of these ladies for being such a big part of my self-care on a daily basis. I really, really appreciate both of you. As for me, you can find me here on the Moms Online Mastermind page. And as I mentioned, we also have the after show that happens inside of our private community. Moms Online Mastermind doesn't just happen on the page. We also have a premium membership that starts really, really low price. And there's lots going on there, including monthly activities and social activities and classes and trainings and lots of good things that goes on. To find out more information about that, you can go to www.momclub.online, and you can also click, I believe, the little find out more button. I think it is at the top of this Facebook page as well. So thank you all again so much for being with us today. Thank you to my guests as well. Be sure to tune in to next week episode where we're going to talk about holidays and stress. So really good topic for all of the holidays are about to start coming up. And this is not only going to be an amazing episode as is, but I'll also be announcing a fantastic series of episodes that are going to give you all kinds of tools for your stress relief tool belt and to help you make your way through the holiday season. So all of that being said, thank you all again. And until next week, I am Jessica Dugas, reducing stress in the world, one mom at a time. Have a great week, everybody.